Programming is the greatest skill I've ever learned, but after learning Python in university, it took me a few tries to master it. See, the experience of sitting at a lecture hall with hundreds of other students and a professor at the front is great, but not for learning programming for the first time. I was in a position where I had so many cool ideas and projects I wanted to create, but I had no idea on how to actually start them. Just like you, I wanted a practical skill to create these visions, so I enrolled in a first-year computer science course. I only realized afterwards the flaws from them, which could have saved me from retaking the course 3 times. In this video, I'm bringing all the positive aspects of my university experience, along with the practical elements most pros forget to mention to beginners. This is going to be part 1 of a series where I teach you how to learn Python just from step 1. I hope you guys enjoy. Installing Python is a surprisingly simple process. So Mac and Windows have different installation methods, but we're going to start with Mac. We're going to download something called a package manager. Open up Safari and type in the URL brew.sh. Underneath install Homebrew, copy that text. Now, you will have to open up Terminal. To do this, press Command plus Spacebar and search for Terminal. You should see a little window with text on it. I'm just resizing the window here because I'm blind. Now, using Command plus V, paste what you copied into the terminal and hit Enter. You should see a bunch of text popping up. On the bottom, it should ask you to press the return key to confirm, so press Enter. You may be asked to input your password for your Mac. Be aware that typing a password into terminal will not show the characters as you type, so type slowly. But if you feel like you made a mistake, just press backspace like a million times to delete it and try again. Homebrew, our package manager, is now installing and could take a few minutes, so go grab a cup of coffee. Alright, if you see Homebrew begging you for donations, then you know it's done installing. Let's go back to our terminal window and type in brew install Python 3. Python 3 is one word. To see if Python has successfully installed, type in pip3 and press Enter. If you see a bunch of text pop up that isn't red, congrats, you just installed Python on your Mac. To install Python on Windows, you're going to want to go to python.org/downloads/windows/. Under Python releases for Windows, click latest Python 3 release Python 3.x. whatever. Then scroll to the bottom and choose Windows x86-64 executable installer. Now, if you have a 32-bit computer, you're going to want to choose Windows x86 executable installer for 32-bit, but you most likely don't. Open the download up and run the installer. Make sure to checkmark the Add Python 3 to Path option and press Install Now. Congrats, you have Python installed on your Windows machine. Now to actually begin coding, you're going to need a piece of software to write that code into, kind of like Word or something. Python already comes with a software straight out of the box, and it's called IDLE. We're not going to be using it because it only lets you just write code into it. We want something with a few more features. So we're going to install a free software called Wing Personal. To install Wing IDE on a Mac, you're going to want to go back to Safari and type in wingware.com/downloads/wing-personal, and then press the big green button that says Installer. Once it's done downloading, open the download. You're going to want to drag the icon into the application folder. Once it's done copying to your applications folder, go to your launch control and open it up. The app should be called Wing Personal. For Windows, press the big green button and press Install. Open the download and follow the installation instructions. Once you're done, open the application. It should be called Wing Personal. Just so we're all on the same page, press accept and let it load. You're going to be greeted with a little pop-up screen that you can ignore. However, on the bottom, uncheck the Show at Startup option and then exit out that window. You should be met with this screen. It does look a little confusing right now, but we're going to do some window management and clean it right up. The first thing you want to do is look at the bottom middle window where it says Python Shell, and you're going to want to drag it to the right like this. Next, we're going to need a window where we can actually type our Python code into. So we can create a new document by either pressing File, New, or just Command N. Now, since I'm a little extra, I like to have both windows exactly the same size. So drag this little part between the two windows until they're the same. Press F1 to hide the bottom, and boom, we have a pretty working space. As you'll shortly see, you're going to keep switching from the text editor on the left and the Python shell on the right. The difference between these two windows is actually quite small. See, they both basically do the same thing. The window on the left allows you to save and edit code while the right one doesn't. The Python shell on the right displays any code you may have outputted from the left side, but we'll talk more about that later. Alright, time to write our very first Python program. We're going to start with a very simple Python program. Our goal is to have our program print or output some text. To do this, we're going to start in our Python shell on the right and type in the command print, open bracket, quotation mark, hello, space, world, end quotation mark, end bracket. Press enter and you'll see the Python shell outputted hello world. You can do this with any text, just make sure to surround it with quotations. Now this is pretty boring. Let's try to take it up a notch. We're going to ask the user for a question, make them input it, and then print it. The way we do this in Python is by using the keyword input. Input allows us to retrieve keyboard information like text. Let's try it out. Type in input, open bracket, close bracket, and press enter. You'll see that once we press enter, nothing happened. Our cursor is just blinking at us. What's actually happening here is that our program is waiting for us to input something in by our keyboard. I'm going to write, how are you? And press enter. As you can see, our Python shell outputted exactly what we typed in. Now, we can make this a little better. Let's try to direct the user to give a certain type of input, something like their name. Fortunately, our input keyword allows us to put in a message. We can do this in the exact same way we did with the print keyword. So let's type in input, open bracket, close bracket, and then within the brackets, let's put in the message. What is your name? And press enter. Our Python shell is now asking us, what is your name? And we can input it. If we press enter, we can see it spat our name back out. This is actually kind of cool, but let's take it up one more notch. I don't want to spit my name out just like an idiot. I want to greet the user. I want to print, hello, Sarab. Well, we know we're going to have to use what we've learned with print and input. We can use the input statement, what is your name, to get an input. And we also know we can use print hello to make it spit out hello. But how do we get it to say hello plus the name? It's almost like we need the computer to temporarily remember what the name was. This is where we're going to introduce a key concept in programming. This is known as a variable. A variable in Python is just like a reference to something, just like in math. So let's say we want Python to refer to a piece of text. Well, if we create a variable that refers to that piece of text, Python will always remember it. The way we can assign a variable in Python is just by writing the name of the variable equals and then what the data we want it to refer to. For example, I want my program to remember the text, this is important information, because we may use it later. The way we can do this in Python is by typing in a name for our variable, like info, and then letting it equal whatever we want it to remember. So we have info space equals space, this is important information, and press enter. Now, if we want to access the value of info, we can simply just print it, just like the same way we printed hello world. So let's try print, open bracket, info, close bracket, and press enter. Notice how info doesn't have any quotations around it. This is because info is a variable and it's not a piece of text. Alright, we now have the missing piece to our puzzle. We've learned about print statements, input statements, and variables. But how can we greet the user by storing the input and printing it out at a later time? Our goal is to make the program keep track of the user's name, because we're going to use it at a later time. To do this, simply create a variable that refers to the input. Well, we can just declare a variable with the value of whatever the user inputs. So let's create a variable called name. We're going to let it equal whatever the user inputs. So we have name space equals space input, open brackets, close brackets. And since we still want our message to say, what is your name, we're going to include it inside the brackets, just like last time. So we have name equals input, open bracket, what is your name, close bracket. Again, make sure the message is in quotations. Let's input your name and press enter. By doing this, our program will now remember that the variable name refers to what we just inputted. We can see this just by typing in print, open bracket, name, close bracket, and press enter. But we wanted to greet the user, not just print out the name. We wanted to print hello plus name. If you're thinking of combining the print statement hello plus another print statement name, then you're close. All we have to do now is type print, bracket, starting quotation, hello, space, end quotation, plus name, end bracket, and press enter. It should print out our custom greeting. Congratulations, you made your very own custom greeting bot. If this video made sense to you, then consider subscribing, because our next video we're going to start doing some serious stuff. Thanks.